There's a special kind of pride that you feel deep down inside, a strength that seems to thrive in Lima, Allen County.
The American way of life, to get in gear and do what's right.
An unbreakable forthright link called real American strength. Lima, Allen County, real American strength.
Keeping you up to date with what's happening in your community. Community Focus on GTV2.
Thanks for joining us today on Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker. Amy Bayliff is in the studio today. She is with Court-Appointed Special Advocates, also called CASA.
Correct.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
What do you do?
So CASA stands for, as you said, Court-Appointed Special Advocates. And what our organization does is we train community volunteers who advocate in the court system for children that whose families are involved due to abuse, neglect, and dependency. So what the advocate does when they're assigned to a case, or the children that they're serving, is get to know that child's circumstance, get to meet with that child and the family, do whatever they need to do in terms of getting involved with schools or therapists, to really understand the child's circumstances, to be able to make informed recommendations to the court on their best interest or whatever the specific needs are for that child.
This is separate from whatever is happening with the family. This is somebody who just deals with the child's interests, correct?
Correct. Now, the advocate will get to know the family and be involved in, monitoring that family's services and what they're doing. But in terms of what their role is, they're an advocate specifically for that child to make sure that that child's needs are being heard by the court, as well as that child's wishes. If they have input they would like to see or something that they need specifically, to be able to really advocate and be a voice for what that child wants.
Are the children's needs typically overlooked?
Well, I just think typically in these types of cases there's a lot of different institutions and persons being represented, and the courts at a certain point have made a decision that a guardian ad litem would be in the courtroom to advocate on behalf of the child, that their needs were just as important as everybody else is in the room.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many clients do you serve each year?
I would say typically we serve around 50 children.
Mm-hmm.
We do some cases in Putnam County that are a little bit different as well. In Putnam County, we serve children whose families are going through cases of divorce and custody and visitation disputes. So we serve an additional number of children in that capacity, but it's still recognizing the best interests of the children in those cases also. So that's been really wonderful. We've been doing that for about a year now.
Is that the kind of thing that you would need help from the general public with?
Definitely. We're always looking for volunteers, someone who really has a passion for children, who's able to dedicate the time. It's a tremendous responsibility. Even just at the beginning with training, we require 30 to 40 hours of training just before a CASA can be sworn in by the judge. But most of our CASAs, I would say, would agree that, the impact they're able to make on a child and also what they're getting from the experience is wonderful.
Well, if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity where you truly do make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see it, I would think this is it.
It is. And I think the advocates really, the program has developed a sort of family atmosphere, so the advocates being able to work together, meet other people who have the similar passion for this work is also a good opportunity.
Well, and if people maybe just don't have the time to devote to something like that, there is a way they can get involved. You have a fundraiser coming up at the end of this month.
We do, a big fundraiser.
Sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It's going to be great. This is the first time we're doing this, but we're really excited. It's going to be a battle of the bands. We're featuring 5 local bands are participating, trying to drum up votes by the community, and then we'll have a closeout band as well. But this is going to kind of be a great community event involving local bands, involving local businesses and organizations. We have many wonderful sponsors, and just a good night for families and people to get out and have some fun.
Well, give us some details.
Well, voting has already begun. We have an event website. It's CASAUPICBOB.com, and it's $1 a vote. So we've made it really, really easy for people to be able to go and vote. They're able to go online now and vote, and they'll also be able to vote the night of the event at the live event. Tickets can also be purchased on the event website, and there's samples of the band's music on there. So if these are bands that members of the community haven't heard of, they can go on there and listen and vote, and support the band that they really enjoy their music and want to hear more of.
Which bands do you have performing?
We have Static in the Groove, Sudden Switch, Two Dragons, Zach Laughin' Band, and Dash. And I think we really have a good representation in terms of ages, size of bands, types of music, and geography. So I think we've got a great selection, and we're super excited. We've met with all the bands. They're really excited to get involved too. So I think it's turning out to be great so far.
And the date for the Battle of the Bands?
October 26th. Doors will open at 6 p.m. It's at the Lima UAW Hall. So when persons get tickets, then they'll be able to go to that site, and doors will open at 6.
All right. Give us the website address one more time.
Sure. CASA, C-A-S-A, U-PIC, bob.com.
Okay. And a phone number if people have more questions?
If people have questions, they can certainly call our office, and we can direct them, 419-222-8666.
Great. We'll see you on October 26th.
Thanks,
then.
Ann.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Amy Bayliff from CASA. I'm Ann Decker, and this is Community Focus on GTV2.
Reduce, recycle, reuse. Allied Waste Services in the City of Lima encourage you to live green by recycling all that you can. Recycling promotes green living by reducing the amount of waste materials buried in landfills. This saves money, natural resources, and energy. Keep our environment healthy and start recycling today. Allied Waste Services is committed to a clean environment. Contact us today for your recycling needs. Visit our website, republicservicesohio.com, to learn more about recycling today.
Help keep the youth of Lima safe by donating to Lima Safety City today. Hello, I'm Chuck Eichelberger from the Lima Noon Optimist Club. Safety City is a very important part of the Lima community. The Optimist Club is renovating Safety City and it needs your help. Donations can be made by going to the website limasafetycity.org. You can also send a donation to Lima Noon Optimist Club, P.O. Box 428, Lima, Ohio 45802. Help keep the youth of Lima safe by donating to Safety City today.
Crime Stoppers is still active in the Allen, Putnam, and Van Wert counties. Our goal is to assist area law enforcement officers to identify and locate individuals who have committed crimes. If you have any information about anyone who is responsible for committing crimes, please call Crime Stoppers at area code 419-229-STOP.
Crime Stoppers! Crime Stoppers! Make the call and pay! Crime Stoppers!
Welcome back to Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker, and I'm pleased to welcome Rita Thalen to the studio. She is with the Audobon Society, and we've got all kinds of fun stuff. This must mean it's birdseed sale time.
Yes, it is. Every year the Audubon Society has a birdseed sale, and it's the first Saturday in November, and it will be at the pickup is at De Havens in Lima. But if you live in some of the outlying communities, you can contact them, and there's local pickups as well. But the bird seed, this is a time to sort of get your feeders ready, to have the seed ready. The birds have plenty of food in the summer. But with the coming winter and the cold, they need to supplement their diet. And not only will you be helping the birds, but you're also providing enjoyment for yourself. So you can sit inside, have a cup of coffee and a donut, and watch the birds at your feeder, and it's a wonderful way to learn about birds and to just sort of enjoy the winter.
Well, I mean, I really don't know much about birds. They're brown or they're red or they're blue, and they hang out outside the window, but do you do different feeders and different seeds depending on what the bird is, and can you attract different birds depending on what you put out?
Yes, you can. And I guess one question that I get asked very, very often is if you're going to purchase just one type of seed that would be of interest to the most number of birds, it would be the black oil sunflower seed. That is a smaller seed, so you'll get the birds with the tinier beaks and you'll get the larger birds. But if you want woodpeckers and maybe some of the other birds that would feed on insects in the summer, you'll want to use suet. If you want squirrels,
You get them regardless, don't you?
Exactly. But some of the birds also enjoy like cracked corn. We use a feeder, this one in particular we use for peanut pieces. And the woodpeckers enjoy that, the nuthatches. We have a wide variety of birds that will enjoy that as well. And it's really fun to watch because they'll anchor their feet on the sides and they're working to get the peanut pieces out. And a feeder like this will keep the squirrels out of it as well. So one method to keep your squirrels away that people recommend is just to have a separate feeding area for the squirrels because they're basically lazy. So they'll go wherever it's the easiest source of food for them. And the other argument in favor of squirrels is just you've got them, enjoy them.
They're fun to watch.
They are. They're extremely acrobatic.
Well, and if you have pets, cats, dogs, they love watching the squirrels too.
Yes.
So put the feeder close to the window so you keep the dog and cat entertained as well.
But not too close.
No?
Because if the birds, oftentimes your window will reflect the outdoors. So when the bird looks at your window, it sees trees and lawn and greenery. And if it gets startled, it'll sometimes fly directly into the window thinking that's an escape area. So you want to have it far enough away from the window, but not too far. So it's kind of a game that you kind of check and play and see how it works out. But definitely put it where you can see them very, very easily. But there are things that you can add to your seed that will deter the squirrels.
Like what?
Cayenne pepper.
And the birds don't mind?
They don't mind that. You can also buy commercial varieties of things that you can add to your seed, but cayenne pepper works.
Keep me
fairly
away.
well. Yeah. But you're not an unwanted guest, so you'll be in the
would
house
hope not.
drinking your coffee and eating a donut. So great. But,
Tell me about these other feeders.
well, the type of seed you have will dictate the type of feeder you have. So one thing you want to look at when you're buying a feeder is the size of the opening for the seed to come out. Now, these feeders right here are for not the sunflowers, for the thistle seed, because the opening is very, very small. If this was for a sunflower, it would have a larger opening there. So you can tell when you're looking at it. I like tube feeders. I like to use glass because it's easier to clean. You want to keep your feeders clean. And there's not as much waste with them. For a thistle, you can also do something very inexpensive, and you can buy one of these socks. And these are only a couple dollars. And the finches love them because they're able to hang on to them, and they're able to get at the seed, and there's very, very little waste with those. So depending on what you want to attract would be the type of seed you would buy, and there will be people at the Audubon bird seed sale that can advise you. Or I would recommend that you also try to order ahead of time, because the orders are accepted up, I think you can mail them in up until mid-October. Then you're guaranteed of having what you want. There will be some extra seed available for walk-ins, but if you really want one certain type of seed, it would be better to order ahead of time. Because DeHaven's, and I do want to mention a huge thank you to DeHaven's, because they sponsor all of this. They order the seed for us. They unload the trucks. They set up the area for the sale, and they receive no profit from it.
They are good people.
Yes, they are. It's simply a community service that they're offering for Audubon to offer this seed to the local community. And I would like to add that it's fresh seed, because if you have seed that you've kept from year to year, sometimes you can get an insect infestation in it, or other things, bacteria and things. So you don't want to use old seed if you can avoid it.
Okay. I'm looking at your order form. Pretty
Yes.
much people can order now, can't they?
Yes,
What do you have available?
They can. They will be available. They will be mailed, I think, this week to anybody that ordered or purchased last year or the last 2 years will receive an order form in the mail. They should also be able to go to the Tri-Moraine website and also to Facebook to get the order form there. But what we have available is the sunflower seed, which is the black oil, and that's probably the #1. And then there's also a blend of oil, black oil, sunflower seeds, and striped. The striped are simply larger. Birds like cardinals would go for that. They also have a premium mix. Some people prefer a mix. But I would like to add that many times the mix that you buy in one of the local stores, you want to check what's in that mix, because a lot of it is waste. And if you notice, when the birds will land at your feeder, they scratch out what they don't want and they
Yeah.
eat what they do. So you want to check the percentage of black oil sunflower seed in it, the percentage of cracked corn, things like this. But this Audobon mix is very well designed. There's no waste seed in that. One of my favorites is the thistle, Niger thistle. Safflower seeds. Now, some people add that to their sunflower seeds to attract cardinals. Some people swear by it, but that is what brings them in. I've used them for years. They also say that the literature says it keeps squirrels away. I think, like anything, you give it a try, and if it works for you, go for it. Our squirrels, and also the undesirable species like the house finch and things like this. The house sparrow, I should say, not the house finch. That's also sort of borderline, but it's a prettier one to look at, but that keeps the house sparrows away. We have suet cakes, we have cracked corn, which appeals to the larger birds again, and the peanut pieces, which is one of our favorites. We enjoy those as well. So
You do have a little bit of something for every bird, virtually.
Yes.
And
yes,
in
there
different
is.
size bags, 10 pounds, 25 pounds, 50 pounds.
Right. And if you're not sure you want to do it, probably getting a smaller bag is better to start with. But I do urge you that if you are feeding them and you're still feeding them come January, do it all the way through the winter, because they have sort of memorized where your feeding site is, and you don't want to take that food away from them. So you try to continue it all the way through the season.
Okay. Once again, the sale's going on now, but the pickup date is when?
The pickup date is November 2nd.
Okay.
So you can order now, and then you would come to DeHaven's in Lima, and anytime between 9 and 4, and they'll have your order ready. There'll be people there that can load it into the car for you.
Great.
And some folks have started to purchase additional bags of bird seed for maybe a nursing home, or my personal favorite, Johnny Appleseed Park District.
What a great idea.
And so there's many, many things, many ways to support the Audubon Society and also our local birds.
Okay, and there will be some walk-up seat available if
Yes.
people want to show up on the 2nd.
Absolutely.
And again, how do they get one of these order forms?
They can go on Facebook, they can go on to the website, or they can also contact, I'm trying to find her number here. No, she doesn't have it on here anymore. She coordinates it here. Ann Smedley, and here's her number right in the middle of it, which is 419-222-3271.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It is, and we will see you next time around. Thank
Okay,
you, Rita.
great. Thank you.
Rita Thalen from the Audubon Society. I'm Ann Decker, and this is Community Focus on GTV2.
Let's all do our part to keep the Ottawa River clean and healthy. Prevent or clean up oil and fluid leaks from your vehicle that could wash into the river. Your actions matter. Because you're black. Because you have young children. Because you have a disability. If you've been denied housing for any reason, the Lima Allen Council on Community Affairs can help. It's against the law to deny people the opportunity to live where they want and can afford. If you feel that you've been treated unfairly, give LACA a call and we'll look into your complaint. LACA's fair housing services are free, so call today and get the housing you deserve. 419-227-2586.
Over the last few decades, the Humane Society of Allen County has been the home to many great animals looking for many great homes. It's time we share our passion with you. See how you can help animal advocacy in our community by visiting hsoac.org.
He said he would let me play ball with the older boys if I did what he said. He said it would be our secret and he'd beat me up if I told. And now he wants another favor tomorrow. I just want to play ball.
Say no. Run away. Scream. It's okay to tell an adult you trust if someone is hurting you or making you uncomfortable. Feel safe. Feel strong. Feel free.
We're back on Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker. If you have any questions about Medicare, you're going to want to show up to the Allen County Council on Aging on October 10th. They're having a health fair and helping folks out with Medicare. Here in the studio today to give us some details is Jerry Burton. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ann. Our October 10th is going to be our annual health fair. We're going to have health professionals there. It's going to be testing hearing, blood sugars, going to be checking brown bag medicines where seniors can bring in all their medications. We'll have students from Ohio Northern coming in and check. A lot of our seniors have multiple doctors. Their family physician may know certain medications that he's prescribed, but may not know what the specialists have prescribed. And sometimes our seniors are on multiple medications that don't work well together. So the students do a very good job of checking, find out what the chemical components are and how they work together. And it usually benefits the seniors a great deal because they usually find one or two medicines that shouldn't be taken together. Another thing that's going to be going on October 10th, we're going to have a specialist from Columbus, from the Ohio Senior Health Insurance and Informational Program coming up, and they're going to be doing a presentation from 10:30 to 11:30 about all the updates and changes in Medicare and the Medicare drug program for the year 2014. Then the next big date for the Allen County Council on Aging is going to be October the 15th, which is when the Medicare open enrollment kicks off. We are scheduling 3 clinic days a week. Give us a call at the office at area code 419-228-5135, and we would be glad to get seniors scheduled for that.
What can you do for them in terms of the Medicare Part D?
What we basically do is we plug in all their information into the Medicare websites, including all their medications, and we'll do comparisons to make sure that the plan that they're on has still got the same formulary. Insurance changes formularies every year. They change the tier levels. They'll change them from a tier 2 to a tier 3 or tier 3 to tier 2, and they drop medications. So the insurance that you have this year may not be the best for you next year. Not to mention that they raise the deductibles to $320 maximum deductible this year.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It can from time
Which is
to
where
time.
you guys come in to kind of like settle everybody down and figure out what's going on.
The hour that the senior spends, for instance, last year there was 3 of us in the office that did this. And the roughly 8 weeks that we did it, we were able to save the citizens of Allen County over $150,000.
Great. What wonderful work you do. Is there a fee for this service?
Our services are all free. We do not charge for them, but we do accept donations for those that have the ability and want to give.
That's great.
The next date that we have open is going to be November 19th. That's the National Mental Health Screening. What we basically do is we have a screener that's going to be testing people's memory, and we're going to be testing for problems, not so much that where did I put my car keys.
You don't have to be a senior.
No. One of the biggest problems I have with my car keys, I'll get home and I'll start carrying in the groceries. I'll give my wife the keys, and she'll drop them in her purse. And next morning I'm in a panic rush trying to figure out where I'm going, what I do with my keys, because I can't find them.
Keys move. I know they do.
They do. They grow legs and move. These are for people that the test will indicate whether or not they have a serious problem in their brain function, and if they do, we will have a list of doctors that they could go see for further testing to determine whether or not there is actually some sort of brain deficiency to which they will need further testing, possibility of medication if it turns out to be some form of dementia or Alzheimer's. The early testing indicates that there's a problem, but early treatment indicates a greater value of life later on.
And that's November 19th.
November the 19th.
Do they call now to make an appointment? Do they walk
They
in?
can call now, and we have scheduled appointments set up, and we would be glad to slate them in, or they can call closer to the 19th, because right now we're doing a lot about Medicare and open enrollment. So as you can see, the fall is very busy for the Council on Aging.
It is, but you're doing wonderful work. This health fair, October 10th, do they just drop in?
Yes. All they have to do is come on in if they need a ride, if they call the Allen County Council on Aging. Again, the phone number is 419-228-5135. Transportation can be arranged to get them in for the hearing test, blood sugar tests, blood pressure checks, because a lot of our seniors don't have a way to test their blood sugars or their blood pressure. So this way they know that they're being checked, and they will know how well the medicines are working or whether or not they need to be put on medicines.
We've given folks a whole laundry list of dates, times, places, events. If they do want more information or have questions about anything you've mentioned, how do they get in touch with you?
All they have to do is call the Allen County Council on Aging at area code 419-228-5135, and we would be glad to schedule an appointment with them. We would come out to their house if they need us to make a home visit for them, and we would gladly try to answer any and all questions that they have.
What a wonderful service. Thank you for coming in and telling us about it.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Jerry Burton from the Allen County Council on Aging. When we come back, it's time for Lima's Lantern Tours. We'll tell you all about it right after this on GTV2.
Lima City Council has recently amended the city's vicious dog ordinance to deal with potential problems concerning dangerous dogs in the public.
The ordinance is comprehensive. However, here are some key elements that all dog owners and their neighbors should be aware of.
Any dog that is considered a breed of pit bull is considered a vicious dog regardless of its temperament.
A vicious dog is any dog that attacks, bites, or causes injury to a person or domestic animal with or without provocation.
Not under control of the owner and secure with a muzzle and a leash of 6 feet or less in length, all vicious dogs must be confined when outside in a pen with a secured top and bottom, or with the sides of the pen embedded at least 1 foot deep into the ground.
If you're a dog owner and have concerns about any dogs in your neighborhood, visit limapolicedepartment.com to find out more about the city's vicious dog ordinance.
The fine for non-compliance is $150 per citation, and ignorance of the law is not a defense.
If there's an emergency situation, call local law enforcement for immediate assistance.
Thank you for contacting the Ohio Utilities Protection Service before you dig, because knowing where underground utilities are located matters. It matters for the safety of your crew, the job schedule. It matters to the customers you serve, and it's the law. You can call us or go to oups.org to put the safe digging process in motion, because keeping Ohio safe every time you dig matters most.
I didn't want to be touched. He said it would feel good, but it didn't. So he gave me a new doll and some candy. He told me not to tell anybody and that it's our special secret. How do I make him stop?
Say no. Run away. Scream. It's okay to tell an adult you trust if someone is hurting you or making you uncomfortable. Feel safe. Feel strong. Feel free.
We're back on Community Focus. I'm Ann Decker. Downtown Lima's, well, one of my favorite downtown Lima events is coming right up this month. It's the Lima Lantern Tours. And Aubree, Kaye, and Cara Stombaugh are here. And this is really great. It's a chance to tour downtown Lima and hear some interesting stories you might not have known before.
Yes, the Lima Lantern Tours, we're going on our 6th year this year. We have tours October 4th and 5th and 11th and 12th. We have 6:30 p.m. walking tours and 7:30 p.m. either horse-drawn wagon tours, or we have a special tour on October 12th that is actually pulled by a little miniature train.
Oh, cool.
So people can come down and kind of, it's a throwback to Lima's past of our train and rail history, and ride the train throughout the downtown. But there are building tours, so it's always an interesting experience.
So what exactly are we touring?
This year, and on October 4th and 5th, right now we have the Ohio Theater confirmed, and so we have requests for that every year. If you are on the horse-drawn tour or the train tour, you'll be touring the Lima Literacy Council, which one of the special points of that is our first weekend on October 4th and 5th, Jim Willis, author of Weird Ohio, will be here again. And he has, he's in the process of having another book published about Ohio, and the Lima Literacy Council will be in there.
No kidding.
Yes.
What, is it haunted?
He came and did an overnight investigation and found some very interesting things there.
Cool.
So we did quite quite a bit of the history and got everything with that. And so we had some interesting experiences. And this year we are selling raffle tickets for an overnight investigation with Jim Willis at the Lima Literacy Council. So for $5 you can get a ticket, and that'll be sometime in 2014. You can come down and you'll get to play with all the paranormal equipment and all the gadgets and have fun throughout the literacy.
You'll actually get to see what they do on a day, almost daily, if not weekly basis with his Ghosts of Ohio paranormal group. You'll actually get to see what they do on an overnight investigation.
Well,
it's really interesting.
And hopefully you get to meet some ghosts too while you're at it.
You never know.
And ghosts aside, the Literacy Council building is fascinating. It's one of those neat old Lima mansions.
It's really beautiful.
It's a gorgeous mansion. You don't even realize what's inside of it until you walk in. And it is one of the hidden treasures of Lima, downtown Lima too, as well. So, but on October 11th and 12th, that will be our character weekend, where we will have some actors dressed up as characters in different places telling stories. So you never know what you're going to encounter that weekend as well. So it's always a fun experience. There's always new things. We will be touring Children's Media Group, which was the former Jones Hardware. So if you haven't been in those studios, they're absolutely gorgeous.
They don't look haunted.
I don't think they are, but Matt Childers and Children's Media Group did an excellent job with that building.
Beautiful.
So it's absolutely gorgeous building. So there are some other buildings that we're still in the confirmation stage of. Last year, as well as this year, we will have Romy and Vandemark, which was a former bowling alley. So you'll actually, in the upstairs of that building, have some of the former lanes and where the pin boys used to set the pins and things like that. So there's quite a bit of history, but there's also a little bit of paranormal thrown in there. So
there's a little bit of both for the history buffs, for the paranormal enthusiasts. There's a mix of both. And speaking of the history, we also on this Saturday, October 5th, we have the Woodlawn Historical Cemetery tours as well. That's another wagon tour that we have going on at 1:30 on Saturday.
You guys are busy.
Yes, the history buffs that are looking solely for history. That's another tour that we encourage people to come out for as well.
How do people get tickets, and what's the fee for all this?
Go to www.limalanterntours.com. Tickets, walking tours are $10. The cemetery, they're $12, and cemetery tours are $27.
Yes.
As well as the tours with Jim Willis are $27. So.
Okay, and well worth it, believe me.
Yes. It all goes towards downtown Lima and the Lima Lantern Tours. This is not really a money-making thing for us. It's something that we want to educate the public about how great downtown is, as well as, explore some of our history, as well as some of the other unique features of downtown.
Well, and even for those of us who work downtown, we tend to just drive through and we go on autopilot and we don't look around us. And what a great opportunity to stop and look and learn something about where we live.
Yes, and there's going to be multiple events going on this Saturday, October 5th, too. So the Met is having Oktoberfest, so there's going to be tons of things going on downtown, and it's going to be extremely busy. So when you come
really
down,
spend your whole weekend doing things while you're here for the tours.
Great. Downtown Lima is a happening place anymore. We've got more going on, I know, later on this fall.
Yes.
We're going to get you back in a couple weeks to talk about what else is going on.
Yes, we will be having Downtown Lima's Designer Purse Bingo. So we have that at Memorial Hall on Saturday, November 2nd. We're extremely excited, and tickets are selling fast.
So we need to get you back on soon to give it another plug.
Yes.
Okay, give us the website one more time for the Lantern Tours.
www.limalanterntours.com. Or you can call Downtown Lima's office at 419-222-2686, or the Convention and Visitors Bureau office at 419-222-6075.
Okay, and tickets are going quickly, so don't miss out.
Yes.
We appreciate you both coming in today.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Aubree, Kaye, and Cara Stombaugh from downtown Lima. I'm Ann Decker, and this is Community Focus on GTV2.
Thanks, Jason. Good morning. It's 8:08, News Talk 1150 WIMA. On this this Tuesday morning, first day of October. Again, use some caution, little bit of fog out there and some delays primarily to the north in Putnam County and beyond, although Perry School's 2-hour delay locally in the immediate Lima area. Tuesday morning means we welcome representatives of the city of Lima. Lima Mayor David Berger is our in-studio guest. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Mike. Great to be here.
What did it seem like you out there? Are you not that foggy in the city?
My trip here was completely clear, so not a problem.
Okay, it's obviously out in the rural settings today, so urging caution there. Let's get right to it. All kinds of things going on. Obviously the big national story, the partial federal government shutdown and its effect locally, at least from a high visibility, would be the Joint Systems Manufacturing Center, but we're not anticipating much of an effect there?
As I'm understanding it, because the arrangements with the JSMC are by contract, those contracts are unaffected for the time being. So I don't expect that that's going to be a problem. There may be some direct federal employees who are largely either the inspection staff or the guards at the facility that may have some impacts, but
not affecting the civilian
not
workforce
the production.
at all.
That's correct, not the production workforce.
All right. Well, that's the good news with them. And actually, there was some other news somewhat recently regarding upgrades or retrofits with Saudi Arabia was involved that could extend well into 2014 and beyond.
It was really very good news that that contract finally came together, and it does represent, I think, a significant filling of what's called the bathtub, which is the temporary loss of business, and this adds somewhat to the balance of work that must be accomplished. It doesn't solve it entirely.
Right.
So the combination of foreign military sales as well as the demand that's necessary to meet what is now being identified as the needs of both the reserves and the National Guard is expected and hoped to actually provide a sustainment level that will be able to avoid the shutdown that had been anticipated.
No question about it. And certainly, without delving into it too deeply, the task force that you're a big part of, obviously, for JSMC remains in force and remains very much active, correct?
Task Force Lima continues to meet. We've got actually quite an agenda of work ahead of us. We're continuing to reach out to particularly the newly elected congressional delegation members. In fact, there may be a visit to one of the Ohio congressional offices yet this week, perhaps on Friday. Those details are being firmed up today. And so we're connecting with suppliers in those districts and with the congressional representative from that district, and ultimately telling the story of the JSMC and its supply base. So that kind of activity is underway. And we also have been able to strike up a relationship with the Pentagon's Office of Economic Adjustment, and that means that there are resources, financial resources, that potentially will come to the community for a variety of workforce training and other kinds of opportunities. So we're going to continue to pursue those opportunities as well.
And let's don't make mistakes here. Certainly our phone lines are open at 224-1150. Task Force Lima certainly working for that entity, but that group is prepared to go to bat for any of the larger entities should there be some foreseeable difficulties, right?
Well, Task Force Lima is specific to the JSMC.
All right.
I would say that at any time, though, that there is a challenge to any of our local industrial base, our community has demonstrated an ability to organize the stakeholders that are involved and go to work. And that's, of course, why we have an auto task force. It began with a focus on making certain that we got new engine lines coming to the Lima engine plant, but it is a much broader effort focused on on stimulating the auto industry in our region. And so over time, I think that we've been a very responsive community. We've demonstrated an ability to make certain that we were listening to our industries and that we were anticipating challenges and hopefully meeting them.
All right. Mayor Berger's our in-studio guest. As always, we appreciate him joining us. And again, an opportunity for you for questions, comments about activities involving the city of Lima or the immediate surrounding area. 224-1150 is the number to call. A couple of other things going on. An important event tonight in City Council chambers. we'll get some insight on that. Also, some work on some railroad tracks around the Lima area. That'll perk up a few ears. We'll get to that as we continue this morning with the mayor and your calls at 224-1150. It's 8:13. It's 8:18 at News Talk 1150 WIMA. Tuesday morning, welcoming representatives from the city of Lima. Mayor Dave Berger is our in-studio guest, and your calls at 224-1150. And that was about 2 weeks ago. I think we shamed a few folks into calling Mayor because we challenged them on the city, and everything is obviously perfect with the city. And you know better. I'm just kidding, of course, but looking for some folks to call and see if they have any issues. But maybe our listeners generally are those folks that are happy with things in the city, right?
Well, I am told by a number of people as we go out in the community that people are listening. So if they're unable to call, we accept the fact that there's still a listening audience out there. So.
Exactly. We get, in fact, when your lieutenants come in here all the time, they get real busy with calls. So,
is that right?
Yeah, I think. Hey, let's talk about a few things. We mentioned the JSMC and where it's at. Tonight is an important night at City Council chambers as Husky Oil, with their incredible facility on the south end, is looking to make their facility that much more viable, aren't they?
Well, tonight is actually a public hearing being held by the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. Ohio EPA has issued a draft of an air permit that they're looking to issue on behalf of the facility, and so this begins with a presentation from state officials about what's in the permit, and then there'll be an opportunity for public comment to talk about the any concerns or positive comments about the activities with the refinery. I really think it's an important opportunity for everybody to understand just what Husky has been able to do at the refinery. Anybody that drives by on Metcalf, of course, can see the physical improvements that they've made to their front of the facility, but behind the scenes, it's just absolutely important for the community to understand that in the 6 years that the company has owned the refinery, they have now spent in excess of $900 million on upgrades to the facility. Now, about half of that would have been normal maintenance, but the other half has been on a variety of upgrades, and those have had tremendous impacts. The air emissions from the point before the Husky owned it to now have been reduced by over 70%. So that is important for our community to know. It's not just a pretty face that now exists. They have improved the safety conditions for their workforce. They have improved the reliability for the facility, and they've improved the environmental performance of that facility. Now what they're proposing to do, and this was public a couple weeks ago, they announced that they intend to pursue what's called a crude oil flexibility plan, which will be actually improvements on the front end of their processing and also on the back side of their processing, so that essentially they'll be able to take in what are the heavier crude oils. Right now they're a sweet crude processing facility, which is the more expensive crude, but they're looking to take in a heavier crude, which has a more of a sulfur and a sour base to it, and that lowers, in effect, their operating costs.
And that heavier crude, is that what we talk about that emanates from the tar sands out in Alberta?
Actually, it's different from that, but their heavy crude, in fact, is part of what Husky owns in their oil fields in Canada. And that's really the reason they bought the facility to begin with, was to be able to bring the heavier crudes, including the tar sand-derived bitumen, into the United States for processing. And so they're intent on, they now co-own with BP the Toledo refinery. So they're bringing tar sand derived bitumen in there, and they're looking to bring the heavy oil into Lima.
Okay.
That also means on the backside, they want also to have the ability to almost flip a switch and change up the product mix that they're making. They essentially make gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel.
Right.
And at any given time, the price for those products varies, as we all know. So they want to have the ability to respond to favorable markets in a faster way rather than being confined to a given type of product mix. So on both sides of their processing, they're looking to spend upwards of $300 million in additional capital improvements to that facility. And that's really what this air permit is about. It will, in fact, they're going to see some increase in the air emissions at the facility, but by virtue of all that they've accomplished with their previous investments, there still is a net decrease, substantial net decrease over what the facility once was actually emitting.
It's pretty impressive, and frankly, it's quite exciting. You're talking about $300 million expenditure, which will certainly be spent. A lot of that money would be spent locally for these construction upgrades that you referenced.
It's all going to be spent here at our facility, and will in fact be a substantial input to the construction economy that our building trades rely on.
And extends the long-term viability of the facility. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This really does make all of these investments are making that facility globally competitive in a way that it had, at the time that BP was making a decision about whether to close or invest in the facility or to sell it, this whole issue of how it performed on a global basis was part of their consideration. And so what we've got now is a company that's willing to put its money where its mouth is in a very significant way, and my intent is to applaud what they're doing.
No question about it. It's quite remarkable to think what could have been, 14 years ago, what could have been at that very site and what now is. You almost shudder to think what could have been and the success of the whole, what termed the Rust Belt Renaissance, right? So.
Well, we were talking earlier about task forces, and in fact, at the time, our community formed a refinery task force, and again, it was a threat that literally looked to not just shut down the refinery, but to destroy it and create a wasteland out there. And our community responded with a level of support for the facility that ultimately provided the time to find another buyer. It took successive buyers to ultimately get to somebody like Husky 6 years ago when they announced an intention to come here, purchase, and also make this set of upgrades. So, to your point, had the BP plan succeeded, we would have lost the refinery forever, and it likely would have established a set of domino effects that would have affected all the rest of those industries out there. So it's very possible that none of that campus of refining and chemical companies would exist at this point.
Right,
So,
it's a horrible thought to think, and but you mentioned nearly $900 million in investment here in the last handful of years. Look how that has just filtered through the local economy. It's quite incredible, isn't it?
It's really, I think, a turnaround story that's hard to imagine, but it's one that has worked for us in a way that has kept thousands of people employed, as well as kept a tax base intact. I mean, if you think about it, Shawnee Township, the Shawnee schools, who rely principally on what's out there, likely would be in huge turmoil had that ever transpired as BP intended.
But your impression throughout all of that, and obviously your actions throughout all of that, Mayor, and I was not in town when that was going on, was clearly a case that you understood that how the city and the townships are inextricably linked, and there's just it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Well, there was no question that we had to do all that we could to prevent BP from moving forward. We did that as a community team that involved the workforce at the facility. It involved other people in our community, the chamber, the economic development folks, public officials, all pulling in the same direction in order to make that happen.
All right, that's tonight at 7 o'clock, right?
6:30.
6:30
in council chambers
in downtown Lima at City Council and the Ohio EPA and the folks from Husky. That'll be quite interesting, actually, and is the beginning of that process. Inside of 2 minutes, want to get your quick impressions in lieu of any calls here this morning, Mayor. We've seen some work around the community on some of the railroad crossings, including right on South Main there or not South Main, East Market. What am I saying? Just off downtown Lima. Is that the kind of situation that a railroad company just out of the clear blue decides to do that? Do they inform the city? How does that work?
We had very short notice, and to answer your question directly, yes. I mean, essentially they had brought in a very significant crew that, in effect, rebuilt major sections, not just the crossings, but a major section of the railroad bed and the rails themselves through the core of the city. And those two rails actually that cross Market Street near the downtown, those are the main lines for both CSX and Norfolk Southern.
Right.
And it was CSX crews that were here with really a huge team of
construction
workers and equipment, so that it was really impressive to see what they were doing. And it was actually not at our behest. Essentially, they recognized that those lines needed some major attention, and they came in and they've been doing that.
All right.
Unfortunately, we have not seen that happen on the cable road crossing for the former Conrail line, and there continues to be although the CSX remains the owner of the facility, it's actually leased to Rail America and their subdivision called the CF&E, and they're the ones that are claiming poverty and an inability to proceed on that. So we're continuing to correspond with them, continuing to urge them to make improvements, but they have failed to move forward.
On that note, we appreciate your input on that and a host of other issues this morning. Mayor Dave Berger, our in-studio guest. Mayor, thanks for coming in. Have a great day.
You too, Mike. Thank you.
To the newsroom now. It's 8:30.